Hey everybody, Mike here from the Focus Garage, and today I'm coming at you guys with another video. Now, we've been getting a lot of messages on our Facebook page asking kind of like a follow-up type of response, do you still own the diesel, and how's your ownership been so far? So in this short little video, I wanted to take a few minutes and kind of explain to you guys, after about a year of owning, a Volkswagen TDI vehicle, how's the experience been? So, no fancy editing here, no vehicle shots or anything like that. This is going to be just more of a kind of like a tabletop sit-down discussion. So let's jump right into it. I'm going to kind of go over some things that I like about the vehicle, some things that I, kind of found to not like about the vehicle or just owning the vehicle, and then just some strange things that I've kind of noticed through ownership of having a Volkswagen TDI. So first things first, you cannot beat, and this is the first thing I tell anybody who I talk to about the car, is the range of the car. With the kind of way the gas mileage is with this vehicle, I guess you'd say fuel mileage because it's using diesel and not gasoline. But anyways, the way the mileage is set up with this car, I get about 600 miles or so between fill-ups. And yeah, in the grand scheme of things with the price of diesel versus, regular gasoline and everything like that, maybe the way prices is set up right now, it's not a huge savings, but just the convenience factor alone of being able to drive about 600 miles before having to stop, go to a gas station and fill up is freaking awesome. Like, that's awesome for road trips because in prior cars I've had, you've had to stop every 250 to 300 miles. And, this is literally double that. You go about 600 miles before you need to stop and fill up again. So that's awesome. And, that's pretty consistent. I've noticed that in about the year or so that I've owned the car. Another thing that's awesome about it, which everyone's going to talk about with a diesel powered car, is the miles per gallon with this vehicle. I do right now, the way my commute's set up, a lot of highway driving, so which is great for the car because it's about a 30-minute highway trip. So vehicle's getting up to operating temperatures, everything's working the way it should, and I'm seeing probably on average about mid 40s, so 44, 45 miles per gallon is what I'm seeing on this vehicle in my regular daily commuting, which is again insane. Like, unless you're talking about like an electric car, like some sort of hybrid or something like that, you're not going to see that sort of gas mileage in anything. You're kind of on the brink of more fuel efficient gasoline vehicles now. Mazda's really making a big push for their different Skyactiv engines, and you're seeing stuff in the mid to upper 30s on the highway, but still this has that beat, 45, 46 miles per gallon. I did a trip a few months ago where I actually tried to get, the best possible gas mileage, kind of drafting behind cars and, staying within the efficiency zone as far as speed goes and everything like that. And I actually hit 50 miles per gallon over like a sustained 50, 60 mile period. So if you can control yourself and drive smart and drive efficiently, there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to see 50 miles per gallon on this car on a highway trip. Putzing around in the city, shorter trips, stuff like that, I've been seeing upper 30s, probably like mid to upper 30s, so 36, 37, which again is still nuts. And something I've realized, like with the TDI when it comes to city driving, is it doesn't matter if you're trying to be fuel efficient or if you're just ripping on it. Like, this car is always getting good gas mileage because, again, the low RPM band, the efficiency zone, everything like that, it just makes for a very, very fuel efficient vehicle. So that's sweet. Again, another thing that I've been surprised by here is the servicing. So this car has 10,000 mile oil change intervals, and I know a lot of you enthusiasts are gonna be like, I would never let my oil change that long. I always change my oil every 500 miles. That's fine and all if it's like an enthusiast car with certain tolerances in the engine and you're racing it and everything like that, but for the first time in a long time for me, this is a car that's just a totally normal car, and I need to treat it like that. So, follow that service interval because one, the car's still under warranty. I have been doing the oil changes myself. But two, like, it doesn't need to. I mean, the way everything is set up with the car, it is perfectly safe as long as you're running a good oil to go those kind of intervals. So, you're not stuck servicing it often. My vehicle is just coming up on 40,000 miles, which is the first really big service for the car. So what all really that entails is just an oil change. I'll have to do a fuel filter change. And then the big one is a DSG service because my car does have the DSG transmission, the dual clutch there. So, after that, I'll be good for another 40,000 miles till I have to do another DSG service. So again, not a huge deal. The DSG service isn't even TDI specific. That's pretty much any car with, the Volkswagen Audi dual clutch transmission. I think some Audis are even a 30,000 mile service. So not a big deal there. It's just kind of something, the cost you've got to pay of owning a vehicle like that. Another area that I really like about the car is the comfort of this car. Now, I know what you're gonna say, like, it's a regular economy car, it's supposed to be comfortable, which is true, you know, I understand that, but I've owned everything from like, you know, like Cadillacs to Audis and then sportier stuff like, you know, my STs that I've had, and, oh no. Sorry about that, the tripod was tipping over. Anyways, I've owned everything from, you know, Cadillacs, like luxurious rides, to sporty things like my ST. And something that's really surprising about this car is that for, you know, the way this car was geared when it turned out, not geared, but slotted in Volkswagen's lineup, it was, you know, their regular size economy car. And this car is very comfortable. So you can take this car on very long trips and it eats up the bumps. It really does. Like, I've ridden in, you know, cheaper cars or even cars similarly priced that don't ride as nice. Like, sure, it's not the sportiest thing in the world, but this thing just glides down the road, but it doesn't give that floaty feeling like a lot of older, not even older, a lot of GMs do, like, you know, Buicks and Cadillacs. You kind of feel like a boat bouncing up and down the road when you go. Whereas with this car, it just kind of goes where you want it to, but in a comfortable manner. I'm not sure if I can make sense of that without actually like going for a ride in the car and physically showing any of you guys, but I do really enjoy the way the car rides. It's comfortable, it soaks up the bumps, it's not, you know, backbreakingly, you know, stiff or floaty or anything like that, and it's just quiet. It's a very nice place to be. Now, I know a lot of you are wondering, well, does it, you know, roll cold because it's a diesel? No, it doesn't roll cold because it's a diesel. This car has so many different frickin' emissions things put in place where it doesn't even smoke. Like, it's just very clean. There's no soot on the bumper. None of that stuff. It's just, it's a clean diesel, and I know a lot of people are going to be all triggered about that because of the Emission-Gate scandal, the Dieselgate scandal, and lying about emissions, and blah, 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 blah. As far as that goes, my car has had the Stage 1 fix by Volkswagen. That's basically just a software reflash. It is slated to get the Stage 2 fix later this year, and from what I've been reading online, the Stage 2 fix entails them basically replacing the catalytic converter, replacing the diesel particulate filter, and I think adding some kind of heater system to the DEF fluid, and doing everything like that. Now, to kind of piggyback off of that before I get into my next section of the video here, you know, will I be doing a emissions delete on the car and then doing a retune and everything like that? Probably not, unless I keep this car a really long time, because one of the most appealing things about this car to me is the extended warranty that Volkswagen's been offering to everybody with these diesel fixed vehicles. You may or may not already know that this car has a warranty on all of the emissions equipment, including the turbocharger and the fueling system, until 162,000 miles. Now, if, God forbid, you know, you mess with anything and pull stuff out like the cat or do a retune on it, obviously you're going to void the warranty on related parts. So a lot of people are like, well, just delete the DEF system because, you know, you're not going to have the DEF, so who cares? You don't have to make a claim on it. In doing so, if I delete the DEF system, if I were to have a fuel pump issue or a turbocharger issue, it wouldn't be covered if they found out that the other stuff had been deleted. So I'm just going to play it safe with this one. I have been looking at videos of deleted vehicles, and they sound so awesome. You know, you just get the chugging noise, the diesel clatter, and you can make them smoke, you know, like roll coal and stuff like that, which is awesome. But by the time you factor in the cost of that deleting the deletes, by the time you factor in the cost of the deletes, it gets expensive. I think like all like the piping and everything like that is around $700-800. Plus you need to flash the vehicle, which is like another $800. And the installation is on the more difficult side. You've got to drop the front subframe for easiest access. It just adds up. I mean, it ends up being close to probably $2,000 for what puts you at like a Focus ST, a modified Focus ST power level. You know, you make around 300 wheel torque and low 200 wheel horsepower. So yeah, it'd be fun, but at the same time, it's a front wheel drive vehicle. What the hell are you going to do with that? You know, make it go fast in a straight line. And that's not even fast. It's just quick at that point. So as neat as it would be, I don't see myself venturing down that avenue at this time. It is kind of what it is. Now, let's go into the short list of things that I've realized that I really don't care so much about the vehicle. So this is the second DSG vehicle that I've owned, and I'm kind of disappointed in the dual clutch in this vehicle. I had an S4 where the dual clutch was awesome, you know, shifted very crisp, very quick, everything like that. And I think the reason I don't like this one is because I've heard with that stage 1 fix, they've kind of retuned the way the transmission shift points are. With this, if you hit it like a certain throttle and you're trying to aggressively accelerate, the car will kind of hesitate, almost like it doesn't know what it wants to do. Shifts are still really quick, but it has like a hard time finding that right RPM and kind of keeping it in the power band. It's a very weird thing to explain, but it's not the best. And then the way this vehicle is too, if you're stopped and you take your foot off the brake, it grabs the clutch very aggressively and pulls you forward fastly. It's not very good at creeping in traffic. You kind of have to modulate the brake a lot more with this vehicle. Again, I'm sure these are all things that could be fixed with a DSG tune, but I don't want to take that risk of, voiding other stuff in the process. So that probably won't be happening. Moving right along, another thing I don't like, which isn't even about the car, it's just about owning the vehicle, is that first thing everybody says that knows anything about Volkswagens and diesels is, oh, you're killing the environment by owning this car. I'm not. Well, not any more than, your Prius that, requires all these batteries it's going to rot in a landfill is doing, It's really not that much worse. And obviously Volkswagen is trying to do right by these cars and doing this emissions recall fix where it's not even a big deal. I've heard of horror stories of people, having stuff thrown at their car because, of the TDI badge on it and everything like that. And the funny thing is it's usually people driving gas-guzzling SUVs and pickup trucks that get mad about it. Like, bro, you don't even know the situation. Like, just calm down, Another thing about the vehicle that is not the greatest, I guess you would say, is the sound deadening. Again, I know it's an economy car. It's not going to have the best sound deadening. But that's really the only fatiguing thing about being on the highway for a while is road noise. Again, that could be due to my tires, other circumstances, but just something I thought I'd point out to anybody that's curious is that there's a little bit of road noise of these, when you're doing 70, 80 miles an hour down the highway. Not the end of the world, just something you kind of get used to. Another thing I wanted to touch on is the DEF fluid, the diesel exhaust fluid, also known as AdBlue. I was watching a review from some other TDI owner a while ago, and that was something he complained about. He's like, oh, it sucks to fill it up, and it's expensive, and blah, blah, blah. Guy's going to the dealer. Don't do that. You can pick this up from any grocery store, Menards, whatever, for probably $8-9 for like a 2.5 gallon box of the stuff, and the car takes like 4.5 gallons. So like $20 every 10,000 miles to top that stuff off and you're fine. It's not a big deal. So if anybody complains about, the DEF system in these cars, don't listen to them. They don't know what they're talking about. Just, go buy your stuff at Meijer the way I do. It's like $8 or $9 for the box. You need 2 of them and you deal with it once every 10,000 miles. It's really not the end of the world. That's pretty much the short end of this. I've absolutely loved owning the vehicle so far. This has been a fantastic daily driver. I understand it's not the most exciting or engaging or fun car in the world to drive, but for a daily driver, this has been probably one of the cheapest cars that I've had to run in a long time. It gets insane miles per gallon, insurance is dirt cheap on it, and it's crazy comfortable. Oh, and it's a big car too for an economy car. Back seats are huge, the trunk is huge. Like, these cars have really swelled up by size over time, and I think the next generation, the Mark 7, is even larger, which is insane. You compare this car, I think this is probably similar to like an A6 of like the earlier 2000s, which was a big car back then. But yeah, no, it's a great daily driver, and I think this is a car that I'm actually going to keep for a while. This has kind of geared my mindset back towards wanting to have 2 cars again, rather than having one car that does it all, because one car that does it all becomes a chore after a while. You feel bad if it's a car that, you've got to take out when it rains and park it, in tight parking spots and stuff like that. Whereas this, at the end of the day, it's just a regular just a regular Jetta. And it's a good daily. It really is. So that's pretty much my short thoughts of, my 1 year of ownership with this vehicle. If you guys do have any questions, go ahead and drop them in the comments down below. Andre and myself always do read all of the comments, and I think we respond to like 99% of them, unless you're responding just some utter nonsense out there. Then we'll probably just, give it a thumbs up to let you know that, hey, nice, bro. But yeah, that's pretty much going to do it for this one. This is Mike, and I will catch you guys in the next video.